is the Conservative Colonel Podcast with Harrison Dawes, where one man stands against the rising tide of liberalism. This officer in the battle to preserve our nation is the Conservative Colonel.
Nothing ends here. Our hopes and our journeys continue.
And here's Harrison Dawes.
Welcome to the Conservative Colonel Podcast. I'm your host, Harrison Dawes. And before we get started today, please remember to leave a 5-star review on your podcatcher of choice, whichever one you would like. We are on, of course, our main platform, Spreaker, but we're also on Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Amazon Music and Audible, Cashbox, Deezer, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, Listen Notes, and Good Pods. We are also on YouTube, and we're fully caught up on YouTube. Rumble is another story, but we're not going to talk about that right now. So I hope you guys are all doing good. I apologize for the late upload. Y'all are basically getting 2 episodes this week, as last week's episode aired 3 days ago. So not only because it's 2 a.m, and I have been working nonstop this week in Texas. So you probably won't have me do a long episode tonight. It depends. We got some pretty good stuff to talk about. I apologize for that. I live on a farm where there's no Wi-Fi whatsoever. So even with Graves and Sam stepping up for me last week, they recorded, I think Thursday or Friday. No, it was Friday. So it should have been just a day late. And of course, Friday I didn't have Wi-Fi. Saturday I didn't have Wi-Fi. And then Sunday I had to drive out here. So I didn't get to upload it until Monday, I think. No, Monday or Sunday. I can't remember. But I do want to apologize for the late upload and highly encourage my listeners to go listen to that episode, because I give Graves a lot of crap behind the scenes, but he does a phenomenal job hosting this show, and Sam did a phenomenal job going into the news. Those two together are a great team, and just being honest, I mean, I couldn't do the show a lot of times without you, Graves. Graves might not listen to this. I know he's busy this week as well, so that's why he's not joining me tonight. That, and it's 2 a.m. But I can't thank them two enough for stepping up again. And Sam, thank you for coming on. And again, special shout out to Graves. He, in under an hour, planned, scripted, and recorded an episode, and a long episode, an hour and 20-minute episode, and really saved my bacon. So again, there's a good chance that this will be shorter because of that, because I want y'all to go back and listen to that, because they go into a lot of great topics, some of which we're going to be bringing up again soon. The 2025 election we'll definitely be talking about. And we'll be talking about the Department of Education real soon on this show. We're going to have a whole episode dedicated to the Department of Education, and kind of really go into it. And kind of our first story tonight is about the education in Mississippi. But not just in Mississippi. If it's this bad in Mississippi, how bad is it in other places? So the University of Mississippi is testing this on their pharmacy students. This isn't one of them stupid gender study classes where you go over the 15 million genders or something like that. Something you would expect, a class where you would expect this. But they're forcing them to test on, and this is pharmacy students. They're not learning about medicine, health. They're learning about LGBTQ plus health. And this is under Pharmacy 606 in the University of Mississippi, population and rural health. Rural people could care less about this. But here are the learning objectives for this class, by the way. Define key LGBTQ A, B, C, D, E, F, G terminology, including terms related to gender identity, sexual orientation, and intersectionality. Define unique health care and social denominations of health faced by the LGBTQ plus individuals, not people. Describe methods for creating inclusive healthcare environments that respect and affirm these diverse gender identities and their sexual orientations with an emphasis on appropriate language. Demonstrate effective communication skills for building trust and rapport with these patients, including the use of affirming language and listening techniques. The why. Inclusion is not a matter of political correctness, is the key to growth. Jesse Jackson. That's the quote. That's the learning objectives. I've never heard of anything more stupid in my life. I've said it before on the show. I am a Jeffersonian, so one of my mottos is all I want to be is left alone. And you in your private life can identify as an attack helicopter, but just because you identify as an attack helicopter doesn't mean it's true. Science proves there are two genders. And just because you feel like you're an attack helicopter, again, does not mean you're an attack helicopter. And forcing people to call you that is annoying. A name has been passed down in my family. So all three of my grandfather, my father, and I all share the same name. When I go to a pharmacy, I get to go by my first name, Harrison. But my father and grandfather have the same name. But instead of letting my grandfather pick to choose to go by the name he's gone by his whole life, they force him to go by his first name. And he's fine with that. He's made his peace with that. But we're going to focus on this, though. We're going to give a whole class and a test that is in March. And this is hilarious. They even put on the first slide, and I got the slides from the Mississippi Republican Party, identifying LGBTQ plus is not, or identifying as a part of this community is not mental illness or disorder. I highly disagree. It is definitely a mental disorder that instead of helping these people feel comfortable in their skin or comfortable with how they were born or giving them the help they need, we're babying them. You can be you can be a dog, you can be a cat, you can be a parrot. And Polly wants some medicine, but you can do all that. And that's on the first slide, or the second slide, technically. The first slide I read, but it is a mental illness. I know that's controversial. I don't care. It is 100% a mental illness. And I will go down on the ship that it's a mental illness. It's 100% one. And it's stupid that we're acting like it's not. Again, this went from the gay community to all this. I feel bad for the gay community, honestly. I personally cannot support it as a Christian, but again, live and let live. I don't care. But the funny thing is their whole thing has been stolen by this stupid crap, a mental disorder that has gotten out of control, a mental illness. And it is just getting stupider and stupider and stupider. And this is being taught at an official university. So the Department of Education is doing a fantastic job making sure everybody's educated. And I found a video where they were like, I studied blah, 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 blah. And I got a degree. My apologies. I got a degree in, and this is the actual name. So, cancel me if you want. I got a degree in, queer African American women's studies. That's an official degree somewhere. I don't remember where. And someone was like, what job can they get with that degree? And someone put Starbucks. And it made me laugh because it's true. It's a useless degree. Now, if you want to go in your own social study circles and study stuff like this, I could care less. But colleges and universities and schools pushing this crap is extremely stupid. My tax dollars go to fund this crap, and it pisses me off. This is coming. I found it because State Auditor White actually retweeted it, and I don't know what he says. I haven't read it. We'll probably read that beforehand, but it's extremely stupid, and these slides are completely and utterly stupid. Oh my gosh, here are some of the pronouns they have on the slide: she, her, he, him, they, them, zer, zer, ixen, ixen, ze, her, per, per. What is that person? A kitty cat? Oh gosh, I do not need to record this at 2 a.m. I do not need to end my day off this stupidity. But here we are. Here we are. This is your education system, America. We used to be number one in the world. I remember when the University of Mississippi was the Harvard of the South, the Harvard of Mississippi. If you wanted to have a good life here in Mississippi and make your life better, you go to Ole Miss. I'm wearing an Ole Miss cap right now. It's got Colonel Reb on it, my namesake, and it's got the old school Block M. And my thing is, it's extremely sad to see the fall of a university I love so much, but it's not the same university. Like everything, the left has taken it over. And instead of teaching pharmacy, science, history, English, math, math's racist now. They're pushing their political beliefs. And actually, I think, let's go. I'm not even going to go through these slides yet. Shade actually says it. This lesson plan is just the professor's political ideology being pushed on these students as a science, as a fact. They will be, and the students are being graded on this, are being forced to take a test on this for their grade. So they have to study this bullcrap. They have to be brainwashed. The tax-paying dollars to fund this brainwashing is extremely concerning. And again, I mean, just all the crap they have on here. I mean, go check this out. Honestly, it is just it's made my day. I've honestly had a great day working in a museum up in Texas, but a lot of work. I'm exhausted. And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to bring the energy. It's 2 a.m. I'm in a hotel room. I can't yell. I can't, talk very loudly. So you might have to turn me up this episode. But, I start looking at stuff like this in my script that I wrote a couple days ago. And some stuff I add throughout the day, like this, and completely forget about it because I'm so busy and go back and reread it. And it blows my mind. Again, putting it as a science, this isn't a mental disorder, because they know that's the argument going up against them. And they're trying to get ahead of it now. But it's a mental disorder. It's a mental illness, and we are just treating it. And I got that from Jack off the right side. I never really thought of it like that at first. I thought of it as just people being idiots, just being honest. And now I know some people just can't help it. And it's sad that we're not getting them help. And again, making them feel comfortable in their own skin. I mean, that is something we all face, not being comfortable in our own skin. I don't know if I've talked about it on the show, but I'm a bit overweight. So sometimes I get a bit uncomfortable, but I don't identify as a skinny person. You know what? I identify as a billionaire. Where is my money? If Joe Biden was in office, I could probably get some. File for unemployment, get that, become a billionaire or something somehow. Probably wouldn't become a billionaire, but I probably could make a good living sitting at my house and eating Oreos off my belly and getting even fatter. And it's just, I'm over it. I don't even know how to even express my disappointment in the University of Mississippi right now, especially in, if I'm not mistaken, our medical center here. This is being taught at the University of Mississippi Medical Center, Ole Miss, and they're teaching this to pharmacy students. And we wonder why Mississippi is where it's at. We wonder why kids my age, Gen Zers, go to college and they honestly come back a bit stupider, are brainwashed into liberal ideology. You know, if you're going to go to university, people give me this, you're supposed to expand your mind. Yes, you're supposed to. You're supposed to learn things. You're supposed to get interacted in mindsets and thinking that you're not used to. 100%. Before I went into college, I was a full-fledged red Republican. Voted for, Tate Reeves without batting an eye. If you had an R by your name, you got my vote. And during college, I morphed into the Jeffersonian conservative I am today, where I care more about, are you going to actually be a conservative than if you have an R by your name? I did that because I grew through conversations outside of the classroom. Every teacher is going to throw something in there, but the blatant, no room for debate, no room for saying, I think this is wrong, Professor, Doctor, so-and-so. I cannot agree with this. And not even getting to debate it, but it could affect your grade even. I've had professors, try to go after my GPA because I just couldn't agree with them. It's happening. If you don't agree with their brainwashing, they target you until you agree, and you're almost bullied into it and get this Stockholm syndrome where you start to believe it. I can tell you for a fact, I went to the University of Mississippi, and the brainwashing is in I took algebra and liberal ideology came up, and that was before the math is racist thing came out. But they still was pushing it. They push it, and push it. So when you send your kids to these colleges, don't be shocked they don't come back the same kids. They've been brainwashed for 4 years straight with rarely any breaks to breathe. And when they do breathe, they stay around in these communities, this community that's still brainwashing them and pushing them to try to fit in to their agenda. And that is to get more votes, to get more people not really paying attention, keep their eye away from the ball. And that's what the education has come to in America. And it's so sad. I wanted to go to college for a good history education, and I've yet to get that. And it is just one of the great sorrows of my life that I had to switch universities. I'm no longer a student at the University of Mississippi. I had to go to the University of Liberty University to even get a good history education. The bad thing is there's not really a place to go to get a great history education because history as an educational art form is falling apart. And that's a whole other issue that I'll probably bring up in the Department of Education episode, where they've twisted history to beyond brainwashing and propaganda pushing. But not only that, they push science, biology 101, geometry, geology, anything they can twist and turn. There's going to be everything. I had general studies or something like that, or social studies. And we didn't talk about social studies at all. It was all about pushing their agenda. And so that's really sad, but not shocking. And again, another great reason to get rid of the Department of Education, bring it back to the states where it should have always been. And for high school and from high school down, I honestly think it should be up to the local communities. I think the state should only get involved in the universities. Even then, it should be very, very lightly. If you want to have something flourish, get the government the heck away from it. But we're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we get back, we're going to be continuing our crazy crap happening in Mississippi. So we got two more stories left in Mississippi, and there's some doozies. So first off, Lieutenant Governor Delbert Hosemann is back. I know a lot of people, and again, Graves talked about this, the rumors, heart attack. We don't know what happened. We know he walked out. We know he went to the hospital for the day. Some people are saying he refused to go to the hospital. He was trying to tough it out. I doubt that. But again, I don't know for certain. But I do know a healthy man doesn't just fall over and then say it was dehydration. I'm not something's fishy with that, but I am happy that Delbert Hosemann is okay. I was praying for him. I disagree with him extremely politically, and think he's a liberal in disguise as a Republican, but that doesn't change the fact that he's a human being, and I do not want any harm to come to him. Do I want his political career over? Yes, but he is still a child of God. And so I am happy he's back, but I mean, it didn't take him long to get right back into it. When it comes to Delbert plain up lying about not knowing about the bill on an interview with Mornings with Richard Cross. And Delbert Hosemann plain up lied, saying, "Oh, I had no idea we had this bill to strip the auditor of its power." But then goes on to say, and I think this is what revealed his cards, that he's corrupt. He's, defending himself with lawyers paid by the state, but the state's the one attacking him, trying to strip him of his power. He brings up the attorney general who overcrossed her authority 100%, who's also not done a good job also as attorney general. I know a lot of times that people have broke constitutional law in Mississippi, and she's done nothing but sit on her dead gum hands and sit there and try to look pretty for the cameras. Same thing Delbert's doing. And then Delbert goes on to say, he's a little man. Oh, the little guy wants attention. Again, Delbert, if you haven't been focusing on that, Delbert said in this interview, he's like, I'm focusing on my crap. I got a state to run because the lieutenant governor's most powerful position in Mississippi. So he's like, I have a state to run. I haven't even focused on this guy. But then goes on to slander, or not slander, but to go on the offensive, or go on an offensive attack on Auditor Shad White. And Shade's official response to this was, let's talk some policy, since you're talking about coming after me, cutting my budget in half, even though he volunteered to cut his budget. Why have you continued to waste taxpayer dollars on DEI in our state? No response from Delbert yet. Why is your chairman and the AG authorizing bills to strip my office of my legal authority to fine taxpayer waste. Are we doing this? Are all we are doing is what Doge is doing for the Trump administration? Why is another of your chairmen trying to slash my office budget and force us to fire auditors even after we volunteer to take $1 million less from the state general fund this year? Why did you tell President Trump to go jump in the Gulf? Why are you trying to raise our gas prices? And he ends this official quote, Shady Wright's response, by saying, "You established politicians down there act more like Democrats in D.C. every day." And I couldn't be more on point. He asked a lot of great questions to Delbert, and I guarantee you Delbert's never going to respond because he's got more important matters to deal with. And Delbert goes on to try to paint a picture of White as this corrupt individual trying to get his 5 minutes of fame and using Delbert to do it. But Delbert's record is just full of holes. And really, if you know anything about state politics and you watch this, you know for a fact that as soon as that bill failed to strip the auditor of its power to look for waste in our government, among other things, and we've talked about that a couple episodes ago, Delbert is now going after their budget and trying to slash it by $2 million when they were already trying to say, hey, we don't want you take $1 million of this back. We don't need it. They had probably budgeted and found a way to cut that waste that they didn't want to, or money that they didn't think they needed anymore. That's great. He's honestly doing his job. He was like, you know what? My office doesn't need this money. You can take some of it back and maybe put it in something that benefits the state of Mississippi. But no, not Delbert. He wants to cut it even more to force Shade to fire some auditors, to force Shade to have to really ration his resources, hoping that gets the message across that you need to back off. That's what this all is. This is Delbert doing the same thing he always does, trying to rule Mississippi with an iron fist. Delbert thinks he's the king of Mississippi. I might put that on a t-shirt. All hail Delbert, the king of Mississippi. Because Delbert, that's just 100% what Delbert does. Delbert is a career politician. Delbert is in his late 70s, if I'm not mistaken. Let me double check real quick. Delbert is 77. Yeah, he's in his late 70s. By the time he gets out of this office, he'll be 78, 79 maybe. And so if he runs for governor, he'll be the oldest governor, I think, in Mississippi history, in his late 80s almost. And again, the man just had a health crisis. He should not be running, but he's going to because he wants to keep that power. Now, yes, he's going to have to let some of it go to be governor, but he's termed out as governor. So he's doing the next best thing. What's the second most powerful position in Mississippi? The governorship. And he wants to be the figurehead of this museum. And don't you dare think Delbert has not already got a replacement for him as lieutenant governor with an R by his name. The Democrats are still going to put someone up, try to have a good fight. They're going to put on a show. So it looks like if we don't vote for this guy, we're going to get a Democrat in the most power. That's Delbert. I can guarantee that's Delbert's plan. So you get this Republican, this lieutenant governor that's just a puppet for Delbert to hold on to state power for 4 to 8 more years. Again, he wants to rule Mississippi with an iron fist. He acts like a dictator sometimes. If you disagree with him, don't worry. I'll wipe out your seat in my Senate. And he's done that. You don't like it? I'm going to lie and slander you 6 ways till Sunday like he did Chris. Chris challenged him, called him out on his bull crap. And everybody's finally waking up, but it's too late. You're stuck with Delbert. And that's Mississippi's fault. Mississippi didn't dig deep enough when it came to our chance to get rid of Delbert and end this once and for all. And, Shade asked a lot of great things. Delbert's anti-Trump. He's trying to raise our gas taxes. He is against us looking for waste in the state of Mississippi. But, all Republicans should be following Trump's lead and trying to cut government waste, because it's become obvious that our government is spending way too much money and we're all in debt. The country's in debt. I'm in debt. It's becoming harder to live a normal life on a decent budget for us everyday citizens. And again, instead of doing that, he wants to go after the auditor, because the auditor called out his authority, his kingdom, for waste. There's like $330 million in waste that he found. I guarantee you Delbert greenlit half of that. And then Delbert's following this extremely liberal ideology with DEI. And of course, some other bills that are 100% designed just to make us a more liberal state and protect his real supporters, the rich and powerful, business owners, powerful corporations, billion-dollar corporations. And we're going to be talking about that next week for sure. There's a bill I just didn't have time to go into to produce an episode. And there's another bill on the national level I really want to go into next week with Graves. But that's just Delbert. Back at it again. I'm not even shocked. But something that's even less shocking and sad that this has happened in Mississippi is early voting. One of the Mississippi Democrats' main platforms, Delbert helped get it through. So as we all know, early voting for people who are not handicapped, who honestly can't avoid it, and they're like, oh, it's helping people who are who work for a living, the working man, doing that crap. It's not for the working man. It's so they can rig elections. But the Senate passed an early voting bill. Under Bill 2654, voters would not need approval or an excuse to vote early to cast ballots until noon the Saturday before the election. The Senate bill passed, our bill was passed in the Senate with the same name in 2024, but died in the House. This bill would replace in-person absentee voting that begins 45 days before the elections. And I'm pretty sure. Chris McDaniel made the news. Good for him. That it passed the. It's headed to the House for consideration. It passed February 11th to 39 to 12 votes. If you want to know how corrupt and how many rhinos we have in Mississippi, there you go. It's just absolutely crazy. And Governor Tate Reeves, I'll give him credit where credit's due, issued this statement. I believe Mississippians want our elected officials to make our elections more secure and harder to cheat. In fact, after the 2020 elections, Republicans are demanding it. Unfortunately, Secretary Jeremy England joined every Senate Democrat today to do the exact opposite with his no excuse early voting bill on top, which is one of the top priorities of the Mississippi Democratic Party. Reeves posted on social media. And the funny thing is, Delbert's a Democrat. If you don't think Delbert's got his hand in this, you are just absolutely not paying attention at all. And Senator England is actually one of the people who lied when Chris McDaniel was running for office, and full on helped Delbert win this election. So if that doesn't tell you where he stands, I don't know what will. But I'm pulling up the quote right now because I want to quote directly, because the website is not going to give Chris's full vote because Chris just can never catch a break when it comes to being probably the best, if not 100% the best conservative in Mississippi. Even out of office, he still probably is. But I'm pulling this up now. Let's see here. I think I found it. Here it is. I've never seen a grown man have a public meltdown over being bullied. Senator England is saying he's being bullied by Chris McDaniel and the governor. And Chris goes on to say, this guy, Senator Jeremy England, stood in an attack ad for Delbert Hosemann, called me a loser, a liar, a loser, lied about my record, and trashed my supporters. And now that he's being held accountable, he's sobbing like a child. Everything I've said is fully documented in his own attack at it, his social media posts from 2023, and the hundreds of my supporters who witnessed his nasty and unprofessional behavior. And now he wants to play the victim. Pathetic. He's an insecure little fella desperate for approval and confirmation as he wallows in self-pity. As proof, his online posts have become needy, fragile, swell, and vindictive at the least man-like behaviors imaginable. Par for the course. Now, of course, this article just says Chris said he was nasty for calling Chris McDaniel supporters garbage and trash 2003, saying England was wrong for tearing conservatives down, and proudly announcing he doesn't support President Trump. Again, leaving out a couple things that Chris McDaniel said, like the fact that Senator England lied in a campaign ad about Chris McDaniel's record, saying Chris didn't vote for something. And then in black and white, if you go look up Chris's voting record, you see that Chris voted for this. And I think it was like one of that strong porn bill that passed a couple years ago, trying to get that out of here of Mississippi. He was like, Chris didn't vote for this. He wants, our children to be exposed to porn. And then you can go back and vote or see Chris voted for that. Chris voted for probably more bills than any other senator because he took his job seriously. And so, again, he's a liar. He's trying to play the victim. And it is just hilarious. And England responded by saying early voting is something that is not owned by one party or another. Though I will say I truly believe Republicans will get left behind if we don't get on board. A prime example is recent history. We saw Republicans lose the presidential election in 2020 while we were stunned and ignored presidential voting. However, in 2024, Republicans embraced and promoted early voting in 24, and we won big. So what he's leaving out is because of the early voting in 2020, there was so much voter fraud that is what even brought this up for the Republican Party, and that's the reason President Trump lost. And in 2024, Trump just had to swallow a bullet and promote it and try to get people out there to stop another election steal. That's the whole reason Trump did it. He's leaving that whole part out and also trying his best not to address the fact that he just passed one of the Democratic Party's most sought after bills to get early voting in Mississippi. And if we get early voting in Mississippi, you can start seeing a lot of corrupt elections because we already have a lot of corrupt politicians in Mississippi, and it's only going to get worse. But welcome to the madhouse, as I would say. We have started strong already. Can't you feel it coming in the air tonight, so to speak? We're going to take one quick commercial break again, and we'll be right back after these messages. All right, we're back with the last story today, and it's just something I kind of want to talk about. I feel like we're going to talk about it a bit more in the future, and I know that Sam and Graves talked about it a bit last week. Of course, I don't yawn during the break, but it is a very important thing, in my opinion. I found a report by the NPR, sulking over the fact that the Trump administration kills nearly all the USAID programs. And I'm not even going to read the article because they're basically throwing a hissy fit over this. But I want to tell you one of the reasons why Trump is cutting this. And again, I'm not with all the stuff going down in Mississippi, I'm honestly counting on Graves to help me cover national news, the federal news, because I haven't been able to keep really my eye on the ball of what Trump's doing. I'm hoping that, after it kind of calms down in Mississippi, we can talk a bit more national news if Graves is here or if Graves can't be here like tonight. But, I did find this very interesting. USAID secretly funded luxuries for Ukraine models. Um, and again, liberals are just so fired up that Trump is going after USAID, acting like it's perfectly fine. Nothing is wrong. And I'm sitting here like everything is wrong. So listen to this real quick. This is what we're funding. Our tax-paying dollars are not going to California. They're not going to North Carolina. They're not going to the places that were hit by this awful hurricane. They just get $700. But get this, the Ukraine got $150,000 for a modern woman's attire company, $128,000 for a trade mission for fashion design house, $126,000 for a photographer for fashion design publications, $161,000 for kitwear, contemporary kitwear, $84,000 for a luxury bridal band, and $84,000 for a marketplace for designer pieces inspired by folk crafts. So that is what our money went to. And, if you're not paying attention, I can do some quick adding, but that's where our money is going to. And it's so crazy to me that this is how my tax dollars are being spent. And the Democrats are more concerned about the fact that we're cutting these programs than the fact that we are paying for them. And I got the total. That is $733,000 of our money that went to this crap. $733,000 went to this utter stupidity, funded secretly by USAID. I got this information from the Daily Wire, and you can go see it if you don't believe me. You can check all this stuff out, and it is just mind-blowing. And again, Democrats didn't want any person going to check where we've been sending them. We've been sending them billions of dollars, and the Democrats said we don't need to know how this money's being spent. Why? Because they just wanted to give them money. They wanted to give them our money instead of trying to, pay off our debt, secure our borders, or help victims of a natural disaster in their own country. We're using our tax-paying dollars to make sure some lovely models in the Ukraine get some nice stuff. And please remember, they're in the middle of a war with Russia. I can't remember now. It's been so long if they even declared war, but they are in a full-fledged battle for their lives, and this is what they're spending money on. So if that doesn't tell you, and also the Ukrainian president suspending elections to save democracy so he could save his nation. This is the stupidest crap I've ever heard in my life. And it just continues and continues to blow my mind that everybody is just okay with this. But we're going to talk about that more next week. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up tonight, folks. As I said, it is 3 a.m. for me right now. I have to get up at 7 to get back to work. So I'm going to try to catch some quick rest, get this episode uploaded. Probably by the time I do that, it'll be close to 3:40. So I'm going to go ahead and end it here tonight, folks, if you don't mind. Again, we had a much longer episode earlier on in the week because of just how my schedule fell. even though we were able to get this episode out on time. But make sure to go check it out. It's a 1 hour and 20 minutes. Graves and Sam do a great job jumping into federal news and stuff like this. As I said, they even touch on two topics that I'm really going to enjoy talking about in the near future. So make sure to go support that episode. Leave a 5-star review, comment, or share this episode out as well. And make sure to go check out conservativekernel.com, our website, to find ways to support the show and to be able to easily find our content. With that being said, God bless America and God bless Mississippi.